right, hello and welcome to this very special episode of the K-RAD Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Chris with a K, and this episode is very special. It's something that is really close to my heart, and I think a lot of musicians in general can identify with the topic. And that's why I have David Cottle here. He represents Music United, and he is in charge of a festival here locally that's going to be going to help prevent teen bullying and teen suicide. So we have the man here himself who's been booking all the bands and running this entire organization event by himself. This is their first year. I'm really excited to have David. So thank you for coming on the show.
You are welcome. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, I guess something that everyone will want to know is where did the inspiration come for you to want to do something like this? What was your why as to why to do this?
Well, I live in a small town in northern Arizona. At least that's my base. And I've always been into music and photography. And I wanted to do something for communities. I had a bad accident a couple years ago. And I'm just, kind of looking for a new thing. And so I came up with Music United without really knowing where we were going to go with it. And during the process, my daughter, who is 15, lost a friend, longtime classmate, to suicide, someone that no one
That's
would
awful.
expect. And I've worked with youth a lot in my life too, and I've just seen the issues that they face. Both my daughters were bullied. It seems like if someone a young person is focused and doing well, the haters come out. And so that's hard. And bullying and suicide don't go hand in hand, but bullying can often lead to suicide. And so it kind of became, what can I do for this family? And then I thought back to the younger music community down here in the Valley lost Tyler Hedstrom from the band Headstrom I guess it's been about a year and a half ago. And that was a shock to everyone, including his older brother, the singer-songwriter and
incredible
guitarist.
guitarist. If you've never had a chance to see Hedstrom, we've played with them before, and every time you go see them, you'll see some new riffs. But yeah,
Alex is amazing.
Alex
man.
is amazing.
And his brother's kind of missed because even at a young age, you listen to the recordings, and he had these little syncopated drum beats going on in the middle of just this rock blues thing. And so we sort of did our first show. I think we had 13 acts up in Prescott to help, more than anything, raise awareness. And that's where we're at this point in our venture, is just to get the word out there, not necessarily to the teens, although we want to do that. We have 2 all ages shows coming up, but also to the parents, the teachers, the youth workers, whoever comes in contact with young people, just to let them know that often there are signs. Look for those. If a teen or a young person comes to you, take it seriously, and let's just get the awareness out there that this is a serious issue. Arizona has one of the highest teen suicide rates in the country, and the thing about the smaller communities like Prescott, and I should say Prescott for the people up there listening, is they seem to come in clusters. One person will do it, and then someone else, all of a sudden, they attempt or succeed. And I guess the new term, my older daughter informed me of this, is that you don't say committed suicide, you say died by suicide. So it puts the emphasis on the illness, I guess, rather than the victim.
Right. And I think that goes to speak to a much larger issue that people are faced with, especially the newer generations, because they grew up with social media. They don't know what it's like to not have social media, and your problems and the person that you are there's no off button. It's anyone can get to you anywhere, and especially with like Snapchat and DMs on Instagram, these just take Wi-Fi to make an account. So if you don't closely monitor those messages, I mean, there are just lots of hate and ways for hate to seep into a kid's life that has been pretty much unprecedented before. Like before, it was like you had to go past whatever alley, and you just avoided that street, or you just dreaded that one classmate. But when you can have someone reach out to you from literally any corner of the world, like a different school district or something, I think that just exonerates. It just makes a much bigger issue, that comes from social media, which is one of the downfalls of being so connected. And I think that also ties a lot in with mental health. Yep. And, just as a country, I think that it's something that we all need to talk about more, because from what I understand, most of the older generations, it was more stoic, and you didn't really talk about it if you had any problems, and you kind of swept under the rug and you sucked it up. And I think that lack of understanding and kind of like disconnect from being able to talk about mental health makes you feel like, I'm the only one going through this, or, this is something that's only affecting me, when really it's such a huge problem, and it's something that everyone can face together. And I think that's really the only way is to come at it from a community, and just attack it. And, I think it's really great that you're connecting music to all of that, because, as artists and as people that have gone through all of this, a lot of the ways that's expressed is through our music, or through, listening to the stories that people have gone through to make that connection. So I think you got it.
Well, music connects with young people. For some reason, they're all about that. I'm the generation of 70s Stones and Kiss, and everyone else has their thing. As I stare at your Day to Remember sign up there, everyone has their connection with it, and that just resonates with the young people. And so I'm thinking of what better way to get it out there. And our mission statement is kind of threefold. We've only had our nonprofit for about 6 months. And the first step is to just, first of all, fundraise to get a little fund together, and to pay for hopefully the next thing that we do. And specifically, the next stage of what we're doing is to be able to do smaller festivals in communities that have been hit hard. We're thinking about a summer tour with some harder rock acts up on the Navajo Reservation. Tuba City, Fort Defiance. Fort Defiance is like an inner city out in an urban area. It's really rough. My youth group that we used to take up there, we did a lot of mission work. We helped out with the teen center that was just getting started. And so I have some connections there. I think it'd be cool to go up there and do some free shows for them. Then the next step after that, and we get a little bigger, a little more funds together, is to be able to give some money back to the community. In the case of the Navajo Res that I just mentioned, the organizations we would want to give to would be someone that has a proven track record of lifting young people up, and be able to give back to them somehow, whether it be a teen center, a independent sports team, theater, art, music, whatever. But we want to give back a little bit to those communities in addition to playing those shows.
Amazing. Well, in the words of a Day to Remember, sometimes you're the hammer and sometimes you're the nail. So I think that when you're super involved in art and music, sometimes you can get personified, but everyone's bullied for different reasons. And I think that it's gotten better. And I think that the younger kids are nicer, and they're getting nicer. So I think that's changing. I think it's just an evolution of like a higher vision of people being able to understand that, oh, wait, I shouldn't be so mean to kids. But unfortunately, they still are. So that's why there's all these outlets, and there needs to be more, and there needs to be more awareness brought to it. So
it seems like when you're in that situation, particularly if you're a little depressed, something happened to your family or whatever, and someone comes out of the blue and starts harassing you, and then there's another person, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, nobody likes me.
Right.
And you just go way down, and depending on where you are with your mental health, it can happen fast. And so, I don't know, we just want to kind of I guess more than anything right now, let people know that it is an issue. We need to take it seriously and let these young people, and they're usually a little bit different. They have something unique rather than conform right into the class. They may have a certain talent or whatever. And it seems like the person that doesn't have the self-confidence will go after those folks. And jealousy or whatever. And we just want to let people know that there's help. There's adults that you can trust, that you can go to. It may or may not be the parents, but there's an adult that you can go to somewhere, and we can get you to the right place. So anyway, my wife and I are pretty well known in our community for doing that kind of thing. And it's just time to reach out and do a little more.
Hey, well, soon to be known, a lot more in Phoenix, which is awesome. So I'm happy that I can help to be, a liaison to help spread the message. So that's what this podcast is for. It's about sharing ideas that are truly worth sharing, anything and everything that's rad. So super thankful to have you on. When are the shows? What's going on?
I was just going to go there. We're doing 3 shows. I'm calling it a music festival. It's kind of small still, but we've got some great stuff going on. The first night is an 18 and over show at Joe's Grotto, and it's kind of a heavier.
It's going to be awesome. We got Fairy Bones there. Who are the other? Is it People Who Could Fly? I think are going to be there.
People Who Could Fly, and both those acts represent our more pop, I guess, sounding. Although I wouldn't go that far with Fairy Bones.
Yeah, they're alternative, man. They're sick.
Yeah, they're alternative and they're great, and I know Chelsea has dealt with some stuff, and she's like totally on it. We've got a couple friends of yours, Moons, Birds, and Monsters.
Yeah, those guys are awesome.
Who are kind of a 90s metal sort of sound. We have, off the top of my head, I'm missing somebody, but we're closing the night. We have Iron Kill, which if you guys haven't seen Iron Kill, whether you love heavy metal or not, these guys kick butt big time. And their lead guitarist is probably the fastest guitar player I've ever seen. And I've photographed Dave Mustaine and all those guys, and he's just incredible. So anyway, they're great. And then we just got Silence the Voice, another hardcore band that are going to close out the night.
And these are all local artists here from Arizona, right?
Yes.
Repping hard. That's awesome.
And the second night is February 9th. I'm doing this off the top of my head. And it's going to be at Fo Chow in Scottsdale, which is a very cool little place. I think Fargo's played there, right? It's kind of a neat Vietnamese place, but it's also
delicious pho.
Great pho. They have, and do you say it Pho Chow?
It's Fo Cow, from what I believe.
Fo Cow. I have no idea. Anyway, they're really cool. They're real good at supporting live music. They've upgraded their stage and their lights, and it's just kind of a cool place. We're going to be doing several things with them throughout this year. And who do we have there? We have Mills End, representing more of a just straight up rock and roll thing. But other than that, we have a lot of younger bands. We have, off the top of my head, we have Insomniacs, which is this cool little pop punk band. They do kind of a Green Day sort of sound, and they actually started when they were just, I think the bass player was 10, she's 16 now, as a Green Day cover band.
Sick.
So they're really, really good. And then the next night, it's going to be the afternoon, is at the Listening Room. And I don't know if we have video going or just whatever, but the Listening Room, Jim Coletti has gotten behind this right off the bat. And he's a good friend of mine, and he's helped us out with a lot of things. And so he's offered his venue, and we're going to do that. I think we have 10 artists there. We have a couple of very seasoned pros, and we have some younger artists as well. And that's going to be
cool.
Yeah, it's going to be very cool. Mostly creative songwriters. I'm sure everyone's going to do a lot of original stuff with a couple of covers in there because, that's how it goes.
Sure. I dig it. Well, cool. Well, that's super fun. So I think that you can get all your information for that on your guys' Facebook page. I think that's the most current place to stay up to date. And what's the Facebook page called? Music United?
Music United Against Teen Bullying and Suicide. And I'm old, so we do Facebook.
The link will be in the video.
Yeah, I'm not old enough for MySpace. And
reverse.
I'm working on Instagram.
We'll Snapchat later. We can tweet some stuff. It'll be great.
I'm never doing Snapchat. Thanks.
Fair enough. Well, hey, cool. So before we jump over into a couple interviews with some of the artists and then a couple songs that we're going to have as well, where can people donate? Where can people get involved from that way? Would you like to have them connect with you personally through private messenger?
Well, the easiest way is to come to the shows. They're $10 at the door. You can find us, Music United, on brownpapertickets.com. And let's see, $10 pre-show online or $15 at the door. And I am pretty darn sure the listening room show is going to sell out. We're not going to have any door tickets.
Awesome.
It's a small, intimate venue, and it's kind of set up specifically to hear original music. And so that's going to be cool. The other shows should be wide open. We don't have a ticket limit, so we're going to sell tickets at the door until a fire marshal says no. And so that's the easiest way. We also have a GoFundMe. We have an online auction going on right now where you can get different merch and music from the artists, and it's basically one big package. And so far the bid's up to $150. We're hoping to get into the $300 range, and we still have merch coming in from bands that are not only playing in the festival, but other bands that want to get behind it, like Jane and the Jungle. We just haven't been able to coordinate a show with them yet because they're going nuts right now.
Right.
I forgot to mention, if I can, one of the cool bands we have at the Joe's Grotto show on Friday night is a band called the Bellwethers. And they're
yes, the Bellwethers.
Yeah, they're just a cool. They call themselves American rock band. I think they're a little bit beyond that, a little more edgy, a little more alt, but basically just good rock. And so I wanted to put a plug out with them because they've been helpful in getting that Joe's Grotto show together for us.
It's awesome. Well, hey, we got to keep the alt vibes alive and keep everything rolling in terms of real music, real artists, real people connecting and pouring their soul out so that people can connect to it and just let go of all of those things and know that they're not alone in their struggles. And I think that this is a great platform to do it. So, David, I want to say thanks for coming on, talking about the show.
I appreciate it, Chris.
And, we're looking forward to going to it. I'll be hosting night 1 and I think night 3 potentially too, for sure.
Whenever you're available, man.
Sick. Cool.
It's always cool to have Chris with a K around.
I'm not bad. So yeah, it'll be a great time. So again, David, thanks for coming on. Let's bring on our next guest and do it. Let's get some music going here. But thanks for tuning in. And
call him up, man.
We will keep going here. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the K-RAD Radio Podcast. I am sitting here with Sarah Chapman from Ghost Cat Attack. She also does her own solo work, and we are here because she is a part of the Music United Teens Against Bullying and Anti-Suicide Prevention, a festival that's taking place here in Phoenix in February. So super thankful to have you on here, and
Thank you.
I guess
thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
And for helping this event.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good cause.
So I guess, why don't you tell us a little bit about your music, and maybe if you have any personal connections or stories or ways to kind of relate to this, or why it's important for you to play the festival. I think may be powerful.
It's an important cause in general. I mean, it's definitely an issue that I think is affecting more and more people these days. It's always a slippery slope talking about it, because he mentioned how it seems to cluster. And I went through that in middle school. I had friends who one struggled with it. Next thing I know, like they're having a party in the bathroom to all do it together, and I'm finding out about it after the fact and going, seriously guys, this isn't cool. So I mean, it's something that I've encountered from early on, and had unfortunately many people close to me that have been affected by somebody close to them, you know, doing it. And that's where you see the most damage, is the people left behind.
Yeah, I think I grew up in Oregon. We had a family that was affected by that, and then in Lake Havasu, there were a couple families, and you know, everyone knows someone that's been affected by it. I think one person commits suicide in Arizona every 7 hours.
Wow.
And it's ranked 17th nationally in terms of highest suicide rate. So it's definitely something that's local and an issue. And, you know, there are lots of causes and fundraisers out there, but I don't know of too many that are that tied to music as this. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's great that you're a part of it and you're willing to donate your time. And
I mean, that's one of the only coping tools I had growing up. And that was, I think, one of the few reasons that I wasn't doing that. I had band, I had symphony, I had choir, I had outlets. And not everybody did. And, you know, some of those friends did go on to find those outlets, and their lives got better. And they're okay now. They're all doing quite well. So that's something to say, you know, is a really important thing. And meanwhile, you've got so many schools cutting arts budgets. So as a community, I think we definitely have to rally together to try and create a way to keep those things in kids' lives. It's incredibly important, more than ever right now.
Absolutely. And I think music gives you that one connection to, you know, camaraderie, just one or two other people, even if it's just by yourself making music. Like, it's an outlet for, you know, self-expression, and for you to be able to express yourself in a way that you're not able to do. And I can tell that. Or
even just to feel something different for a minute. You know, to have a release, an escape, you know? To experience something other than that one thought pattern that won't let go, you know? Yeah,
sometimes it feels like bricks that are just being tossed in a satchel, and you feel like, you know, one more brick, and then you go down, and it's like, I've been in that place before, but not nearly as much, or gone down that path as, you know, some of my friends and some of the other people affected by it. And I think it's just something that everyone's seen, been a part of, felt themselves. Everyone gets down, and I think knowing that they're not alone is huge. So yeah,
I think depression is way more common than most people are allowed to admit anymore, and how you cope with it is up to you. You know, research, there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different tools that, you know, I didn't have right off the bat. I went down the bad antidepressant route for a while, and that didn't help me very much. If anything, it caused more harm. But I was told that was the solution, and that was the way to fit in and be normal. And I wanted to be normal. And you know what? It's okay if you're not. In fact, embrace it, because that's probably what makes you special.
That's right. Absolutely. Everyone's different, and everyone deserves a voice, and everyone needs to know that they're not alone. So, I guess which day are you performing? The first?
The listening room, the last day.
The listening room.
Yeah, I think we might be the last act for the whole event.
Yeah, you get to close it out.
Yeah, we're very special. Very lucky.
Closer.
And that'll be full band with Ghost Cat Attack, but we're doing, I think, a slightly more acoustic set for the size of the venue. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Very cool. And tell us a little bit more about Ghost Cat Attack.
Ghost Cat Attack's had many incarnations over the last, it was almost 4 years ago, I think, that I started forming it with Steve Beer from the Woodworks. He was actually the guy who came up with the name for the band. So shout out to Steve. He gets credit for that. He was apparently at Side Pony years ago and staying in the room that was haunted by a ghost cat, or rumored to be. And his friend was being a jerk to him, and so he was like, I hope that ghost cat attacks you in your sleep. And then filed the name away. He saved it for when we needed a name. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, super excited to hear you a little bit tonight. I know you do some solo work as well, so excited to hear that. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on, and you know, thank you for sharing your why.
Thank
super
you.
Rad. So
thank you.
Appreciate it.
So scared. Love you gave me is great and strong. You made me
right, welcome back. We are still here on our special edition of the K-RAD Radio Podcast, where we talk about anything and everything that's rad, ideas worth spreading. And if you haven't noticed here, there is a number, 1-800, let's see here. 1-800-273-TALK is the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. So just wanted to make a note of that. But we are here with the lovely Katie Nicole. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. Really appreciate you having on the show.
Of course. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So you are an artist that's going to be performing at the Music United Day 3, I think, right?
At the listening room.
At the listening room. Okay, awesome. And Katie here is a Mesa, Arizona native here, and you're a singer-songwriter, correct?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I guess with everything, we want to know what's your reason for, wanting to play this? Is there a special place in your heart, or is there something that you've observed, because you're still in high school, right?
I am. I'm a senior in high school, and my why, I guess, is the fact that I've been bullied, and I've just been an advocate for that, because I feel like everyone's different, and I've heard a lot tonight that we all have quirks and nobody's the same. So it's just that if you stand out, then you're picked on a lot more. So I personally have had some health challenges, and people with disabilities are more likely to be bullied, and people with cerebral palsy are more likely to commit suicide. And I personally do not have that, but I know people who do, and it's one of those things that people struggle with a lot. And it's not just something that you feel, it's something that you can see, and anything that you can see seems to be judged. And I've been through that. I've had physical challenges that have been made fun of, and that's unfortunate, but it's also a serious thing, and it's leading to much worse outcomes. So
yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think that would you agree that social media has made it easier for that to happen? Because I feel like if people were to see it, or like when kids see it, I would hope to think that that would be stopped right then and there, and that would be the hope for everyone. But I mean, from your experience, does that always happen?
Well, social media can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing, and in some cases it's very bad, and people can hide behind a screen, and if they can hide behind a screen, they can say whatever they want. And when they say it to your face, it's a whole different story. I've used social media as an outlet for building people up and informing people about differences, and allowing them to understand that we're all going to come with scars and bruises and bumps, and you have to accept that, because you know what? If you look at someone for the things that's on their face or anywhere else, then you're not looking at their heart, and their heart is what's most important about them, because you know what? It's the most important part of your body. Like that's who you are. That's where your love comes from.
Absolutely, and I think you just hit on it. Love, that big L word, is something that we all need more of, and it's something that needs to be personified, and it already is. Everyone loves love, but it's a lot harder to get when you're not getting it. And it's a lot easier to receive that when you don't have a disability, or when you don't have that quirk, and life is just easier for some people. And I think that, everyone should be treated the same. Everyone deserves love. And unfortunately, people aren't all raised in the same environments. People don't all have the same genes. And unfortunately, that gets talked about, and that's what draws attention. And people see that and take advantage of it. And it's something that's been happening for a long time. But I think that you're absolutely right with that. Social media can be used as a positive outlet, and it can be used to lift people up and let them know, in the same ways that music can, that you can rise above whatever challenges you are, and you're not alone. And I think that it takes more courage to put yourself out there as being a positive force rather than a negative force, because it's easier, because there's a niche for that, and there's people making a lot of money off of the darkness and off of having a certain personification, because if it sells records, or if it gets posts and likes, then they get to where they see themselves, and it comes back to vanity and just a lot of other things. But I think that you're right in that it can absolutely be, and it is in a lot of sense of the word, a positive resource for people. So cool, very well spoken. Well, I'm excited to hear you. You're gonna play a song for us today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And are you playing on day 3? Day 1? Day 2? Day 3. Okay, awesome. Well, cool. And is there a place where we can find your music?
Katie Nicole Music on Instagram, and that's KatyNichole, and then music. And then on Facebook, you can find me at Katelyn Litwiller. So that's Litwiller. I have some complicated names.
Awesome. Well, hey, any other words or messages to get out there before we have some tunes plugged in and listen to you?
I just want to let everyone know that you're not alone.
Hello and welcome back to the K-RAD Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Chris with a K, and we are here with Fargo, Arizona. He's a solo artist here in Arizona, and from what I've been told, is an amazing singer-songwriter. So excited to listen to you in a little bit here, and wanted to say thanks for coming on the show and for making it out, to be a part of the music, and just in general to donate your time and your art to us. So thank you. Cool. Well, we've kind of been going round robin with everyone as to, what's your reason for being a part of the, the festival and the show, and what your personal connection is, or what's your story behind some of this. And, I think it's something that we all know someone or have known a family that's been affected in some way or another through bullying or suicide or, just mental illness challenges, and why is this important to you?
Well, I guess the first thing, on Facebook, I saw this Music United thing going by, and as soon as I saw what it was about, I'm like, I need to try to get in contact with David and see if I can get involved. Back, not even just where I was back in Canada, but here in the States, in First Nation communities, it's like an epidemic level with the suicide rates and things like that. I've had some issues myself, kind of dealing with depression and things like that. I used to drink. I'm sober now. I've been sober for 7 years.
That's awesome, man.
But the main thing is what's the one thing that got me through all the time is music. Finding some sort of creative outlet to kind of take care of what I was going through at the time.
Right. You can shut the world out and focus on your music, or just focus on what you're listening to.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I guess, so have you been an artist here in Arizona for pretty much your whole life, or are you from here?
Kind of goes with the name. I started in Fargo, North Dakota.
That makes sense.
I moved to Arizona when the movie Fargo came out, so the name stuck. Again, so I was writing poetry back then. When I moved here, I started playing music, hanging out in coffee houses and things like that. Met people like Sean Johnson Foundation. I've had a lot of people from the music scene here were on my recording. Jason Weedman, the drummer, Jason Johnson. Who else we had? Slim Golba. So
cool.
But it's this scene is what kind of created me, and that's why my style is created from the Tempe scene. So I call it desert rock.
I dig it. Being the fact that we live out in the middle of the desert and it gets like over 120 degrees in the summer, I feel like you can almost capture that in the sounds and the music. I can't tell you how many bands or like random artists you'll hear either on the radio or just like perusing through that have played in Arizona, and they just talk about how hot it is. So that's definitely a thing. But I think that there is that Western almost like dryness, or there's that certain sound that comes with desert. How would you describe the sound?
Well, a lot of this, the music I was listening to at the time was like Trackers on Speed, what's it, Fred Green, a lot of these older bands from back in the day, Jed's Millionaire, bands like that. That's actually how I learned how to play music. Was I went to the clubs to watch what they were playing, learn how to play music, and that's kind of how I got started.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I feel like self-taught or learning by your ear gives you a different level of creativity, or just allows you to, kind of be more free range with, how you hone in on your skill, and gives you like that different take on it.
Yeah, kind of no boundaries kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, cool, man. And are you playing on the first, second, third night?
The second night.
Second night.
Yeah.
Awesome. And, I guess because you've been involved in the scene for a while, and I know that we've lost a lot of really great artists this past year with Jester and with Chris Cornell and even Lil Peep. People don't like to talk about Lil Peep, but R.I.P. Lil Peep. And I feel like it's something that's associated with the music scene and with the music community. It's just an unfortunate reality of, they like to say artists are HSPs, or highly sensitive people. And when you combine highly sensitive people with the circus of being on tour for that long and, making what they make through their art, I feel like that gets compounded. And I think that goes to a whole nother level of what artists struggle with personally. And I think that comes out in a lot of their music. Like I know Dollskin, one of the bands that we've introduced, that's phenomenal Arizona band. They're touring, they're national. I don't even know if you would call them an Arizona band. They're international. They're awesome. And, they recently had to take a mental health break from being on tour for so long. And it's something that comes with the territory. And, there are a lot of road warriors out there that are doing it justice in their own way every night on tour. So shout out to all of you guys making your dreams happen and connecting with, people all around the country, struggling or, surviving, but living your dream and connecting with people in that way. So I think that it's just awesome, the fact that we can have some kind of an impact here locally with those issues. So thank you for
community, so.
Yeah, especially I think in which community did you say you felt like needed a real kind of push that's been facing some of those more so?
Well, I mean, just mostly because it's something I've been involved with in a lot of First Nation communities and things like that. So I'd go there, play music, know a lot of people through like even going to like the powwow trail and things like that. So hear a lot of things, and then through Facebook, you're friends with all these people from all over the place, from either in the U.S. and Canada, and they all kind of it's a very close community. So everyone knows when something is going on.
It's almost like a bubble. It sounds like, where it's inside of the bubble, it reverberates so much, but outside of that bubble, if you're not keen to it, you may not even know that it's an issue. You may not even think about that. So I think that's a huge part of what this is, and it's just to help raise awareness, because you never know who you're talking to, who you're interacting with at the store, everyday activities that you're talking to, where you can make a difference. And being kind to that one person, or just deciding to be the bigger person, because who knows what that person's going through, I think makes a difference. And that's something that everyone can do. And if you're battling that yourself, know that there are resources. There'll be links in the podcast and on all of the social medias with resources and places to go. This is the national hotline number. If you need help, need someone to talk to, it's 24 hours. So feel free to, know that, people do want to help, and there are good people still out there, and, whatever you're going through you can fight through it. Yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on. Super excited to hear you a little bit and to see you at the show. Any last words before we sign off and start listening to some music?
No, I think it's just get ready to rock.
Oh, where can we find your music?
I have a website, FargoArizonamusic.com. Also on Facebook, Instagram, MySpace. No, just kidding.
Ooh. MySpace. Dig it. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. We are about to cut to some music. We really appreciate you guys hanging out with us, and we will see you at the next episode. K-RAD Radio Podcast. Follow us, like us, share, and know that you do make a difference and you are not alone. Thank you.